The Daughters of Eve. This series is called The Daughters of Eve because I'm talking about mitochondrial Eve. The Eve that birthed all of humanity. The Eve that birthed children who 70,000 years ago who left Africa's shores to go and people the world. That is why it's called the children of the Daughters of Eve. I'm speaking to all of humanity. I'm speaking to those children who were birthed, whose birth can be traced back to Central Africa over 70,000 years ago by science, by history, by genealogies, by anthropology. And I'm saying let's start a conversation about who we are and who we are supposed to be. This series is a call to all the children of the Daughters of Eve. Genealogy has found that our DNA can be traced back using the matrilineal line to over 70,000 years ago in Central Africa. This is the Eve of whom I speak, mitochondrial Eve. This story has already been told. It is a story that's already out there in the ether. But I'm not talking about mitochondrial Eve. I am talking about the daughters and the children of those daughters of Eve. I want in this series to start a conversation with you, my African brothers and sisters, about who we are as a people. Our oral traditions are dying out. And as our oral traditions and our oral histories are dying out, so too does the knowledge of who we really are as a people die. And I want to address that in this series of videos. Now, there is science, there's anthropology, there's genealogy, there's all these empirical tools to actually ascertain whether what I am saying is true or not. I am not there. I am saying let us start documenting these stories of our fathers and our forefathers and our fathers' fathers' fathers before that. Our mothers' mothers' mothers before that. Our mothers' mothers and mothers before that up to mitochondrial Eve. It is called the Daughters of Eve because I choose in this first installment of videos to look at strong African women, because it is the mitochondria that actually tell us who we are and where we come from. That is why it's called the Daughters of Eve. And in this series of videos, I will be talking philosophical explorations about who we are. I'll be talking about the oral stories of who we are. Not necessarily the empirical evidence. The scientists and the anthropologists and the genealogists can go and research that. And all the better. Because I think that as children of the Daughters of Eve, it is time that we started saying for ourselves who we are. And stop leaving it to historians to tell us who we are. Until the story of the hunt is told by the lion, the tale will always glorify the hunter. Now we are the lions, and the hunters have been telling us who we are for generations upon generations. And I think it is time that we started telling our own stories as a people. They say truth is singular and its versions are mistruths. Mistruths that lead you to missiles and missiles into the center of your heart where you don't know who you really are as a person. And I'm saying let's start documenting all these truths so that the singular truth can be discovered. And for me, that singular truth is that we are not the cursed children of Ham. We are the children of mitochondrial Eve. We hold the oldest genetics that exist in all of humanity. And that means that necessarily the solutions to the world's ills, the world's problems lies here. Because in Africa we say wherever your umbilical cord is buried, that is where your solution lies. Which means that home is where you are loved. Home is where you can find the solutions. And I say, with the world falling apart, with its wars, with its search for identity, with its search for truths that we cannot seem to ascertain and find, that perhaps the truth that we seek in all these different permutations of religion, of belief, of science, lies here in the birthplace of humanity, here in Mother Africa. And I say, let us start this conversation. Let us speak this conversation for our children and our children's children. That they do not turn back and look at us and say, you failed to document who I am. You failed to tell me who I am. And therefore you have failed me and you have passed on a curse. There's a great quote that I saw on African Esoteric on Facebook. And it reads, "Not to know your family story is bad. Not to want to know is even worse. For to pass on ignorance to someone is like passing on a curse." And is the world not cursed? With war, with pestilence, with disease, with anger, with depression. Why are we so depressed? Why is there war? Why is there pestilence? Why is there disease? Why is there depression? Why are our souls crying out for a truth that we cannot seem to find? It is because the solution to the world's problems, the solution to the world's ills lies here where our umbilical cord lies, where the umbilical cord of the children of Eve lies, where we were birthed at first. Perhaps it is because we need to come home for the answer. Home being Mother Africa. That is our place and our purpose in this world. To actually root the issues in where they began. Here in this birthplace of humanity. Here where the first genes are found. Here where the first human skulls have been found. In Africa. As the children of Eve, this is my call to all of those who have an interest in exploring this issue, to say, let us talk. Let us gather the information. Let us distribute the information in as many varied ways as possible, whether it is oral history, or it's empirical, or it's science, or it's anthropology. Let us begin to document these things. Because when we begin to talk, we begin to start to find each other and realize that we are not that very different from each other. In fact, we are one person. Because we are the children. We are the sons. We are the daughters. We are the brothers and sisters born of the daughters of Eve.